it's Kurt Hake. This video shows the upgrades that I made to the calculator app that I built in React Native. The two upgrades that I made were first debugging a major issue with the calculator logic, and then adding 4 additional buttons to help with more types of math problems. As you can see here, the 4 buttons that I added are square root, cube root, reciprocal, and then the exponent. In the code that I wrote, only the exponent button is treated as an operator, which is why I made it orange to match all of the others. I wanted to keep the clear button in the top left, so I rearranged the locations of a few of the other buttons. So now I'll show how they work. For example, I can do 64 and a cube root, which is 4. I could take the square root of that, which is 2. Let's just do some other examples. Square root of 9 is 3. Cube root of 125 is 5. I could then do the square of that, which is 25. I could do that to 4th power, which is that number there. So all of those are working. Oh yeah, and then the reciprocal button, for example, the reciprocal of 100 is 0.01, and I can press the button again just to go right back, because the reciprocal of that is obviously 100. Now, the bigger chore in this project was solving a bug with the original version of the app. After calculating an answer, pressing numbers would append them to the end of the answer instead of beginning a new calculation. But as I'll now demonstrate, I fixed the app so that when an answer is calculated, pressing a number will reset the calculation, just like calculators normally do. So like say I do 32 minus 5 and then press equals. If I then press 9, instead of saying 279 by just adding the 9 to the end of the number, which doesn't make any sense, it resets the app before adding the 9. On the other hand, if I were to, for example, say 23 plus 2 equals, I could then press an operator and it would function like it's supposed to. It would let me continue to make calculations without resetting. Now I'll show you the code. Now the button and row files didn't require any changes. This index file simply includes 1 new row and 4 new buttons, what I have highlighted here. So obviously the vast majority of the new code was in the calculator file. In the index, it was mostly just adding the new buttons with the correct new parameters. Alright, so here inside the calculator file, I created a new variable in the state called last press was equal, which defaults to false. The reason that I did this is because I knew that the bug was related to pressing number buttons after pressing equals. So as you can see down here, anytime that a number is pressed, the code checks if the last press was equal, in which case it essentially clears the calculator before adding the number. Note that clearing also involves resetting the last press was equal variable. That way this doesn't just keep resetting. The last press was equal variable is updated to true when handle equal is called. In this section you also see the code right here for the new operator that I added. Fairly simple, follows the same pattern as the others, just obviously with its own math. Further down, we see that pressing an operator button sets the variable to false, which is why we can continue to make more operations on an answer without it resetting, just like I was showing earlier. Now, eventually I decided that I also wanted the calculator to reset if numbers are pressed after the use of other calculator functions, like the square root, the cube root, reciprocal, percentage, positive, negative. it just seemed like it didn't make sense to append numbers to the answers in these cases either. So that's why if you go down here, you see on all of these, there's all these lines that I added about last press was equal to true. Yeah, again, it just didn't make sense to just be appending numbers to the end in these cases either. I guess technically that means that this variable name isn't the most literal anymore, but the idea is still the same. Here, obviously, you can also see the code for the 3 new commands that I added: reciprocal, square root, and cube root. And that's the gist of what I added. So thanks for watching the video.